All right, let's jump right in today. We're taking a deep dive into a story that's, well, it's definitely going to get you thinking. It's the story of Belshazzar's feast from the book of Daniel. It's got it all. We got a king who is like at the height of his power, a crazy party that takes a seriously dark turn, and a message that just appears out of thin air.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating about it is that it's not just, a historical account, It's a parable. It really speaks to some timeless human truth, even today.
Okay, so picture yourself at this feast, right? Belshazzar, he's the ruler of the mighty Babylonian Empire. He's invited 1,000 of his closest nobles, right? There's music, there's dancing, there's tons of food and wine, like more than you could ever imagine. You would think he'd be happy.
Right, well, yeah. But that's actually where things get interesting, because Belshazzar isn't content with just enjoying the party.
Right.
He decides to take things a step further. He orders his servants to bring out the sacred gold and silver vessels that were stolen from the temple in Jerusalem.
Whoa, wait. Stolen temple vessels. This is not going to end well. I can already tell.
You should definitely be suspicious. In ancient cultures, using sacred items for like profane purposes, like that was a big no-no, major taboo, was seen as like a direct insult to the divine. It's almost like he was trying to, provoke something.
Oh, he definitely provoked something. Right in the middle of the party, a hand, just a disembodied hand, appears and starts writing on the palace wall. Can you imagine the look on those party guests' faces? What a buzzkill.
Oh, it wouldn't have just been a buzzkill. I mean, think about this. In Babylonian culture, kings were often seen as like semi-divine, intermediaries between the gods and the people. So to see something like this happen in the king's own palace, I mean, it would have been terrifying. It would have been seen as like a sign of divine anger, not just with the king, but like maybe with the entire nation.
Okay, so we're not talking about a spooky Halloween prank here. This is a sign that things are about to get real.
Very real. I mean, the text even describes Belshazzar like totally freaking out. His face goes white. His knees start knocking. I don't blame him. I think I'd be doing the same thing. He immediately calls for his advisors, like all of them, astrologers, magicians, anybody he thinks could make sense of this crazy writing.
But they can't. None of them can figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like the power of the unknown, right? Like it's just completely beyond them.
It really is. It's like the writing itself has this power, that transcends human understanding. And it's at this point that we're introduced to someone who's going to play a huge role in the story, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. He's an outsider. He was a captive from a previous conquest.
Yeah.
What makes him different from the king's advisors, Why is he the one who can understand this message when nobody else can?
Well, Daniel has a reputation,
Oh.
For wisdom and piety. He's known for his connection to the divine. I mean, I think that's why they brought him in as a last resort. It's almost like it was, it was destiny. It had to be Daniel.
And what's interesting is that when the king offers him rewards for interpreting the message, all the riches, power, you name it, Daniel actually refuses. What's that about?
It's a big statement about Daniel's character, I think, He's not motivated by wealth or power or anything like that. He's driven by a sense of duty to a higher power. He's not there for the king's favor. He's there to deliver a message.
So let's get to the message then. What did it actually say? What was so terrifying about this writing on the wall?
The words were mene, mene, tekel, and parsin. And as you might imagine, every single word carried some serious weight.
Oh, I bet. Break it down for us.
Yeah.
What did those words mean for Belshazzar and his kingdom?
So mene, that means God has numbered the days of your kingdom. It's over. Your reign is over.
Wow, okay. Straight to the point. What about tekel?
Tekel means you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. It's a reference to the ancient Egyptian belief about the afterlife, where a person's heart was weighed against a feather to see if they were worthy.
So not only is his reign over, he's also failed some sort of cosmic judgment.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's rough.
Yeah, it is. And it gets worse. There's parsin.
Parsin. Okay, what's that one mean?
Parsin, actually, it comes from the word Perez, which means your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians.
Hold on. So he's being judged, and his whole kingdom is about to be conquered.
That's the message. And to really drive the point home, the word mene, it's repeated.
Oh, wow. Why the repetition? Is it just for dramatic effect?
I think it's more than that. It's like emphasizing the certainty of it all, It's like, this isn't just a possibility. This is going to happen. The end of Belshazzar's reign, the fall of his kingdom. It's a guarantee. There is no escaping divine judgment.
Okay, this is getting intense. What happens next? Does Belshazzar, repent? Does he try to fight back?
We'll get into all of that when we come back. But right now, I kind of want you to think about, what would you do if you were Belshazzar? Would you listen to the warning?
Okay, welcome back to our deep dive into the story of Belshazzar's feast. We left off with Daniel delivering a pretty chilling prophecy. Belshazzar's reign is over, he's been judged and found wanting, and his kingdom is about to be conquered. So what happens next?
Well, despite the pretty heavy news, the text says that Belshazzar keeps his word to Daniel. He has him clothed in purple, he gives him a gold chain, and he's proclaimed the third highest ruler in the kingdom.
Third. I thought the prophecy said his reign was over. Why make him a ruler if he's about to lose the whole kingdom?
Right. It's a strange detail, isn't it? It's almost like, Belshazzar's trying to appease the divine somehow, or maybe just delay what's coming. But like we know, the writing was on the wall, literally, and that very night, Belshazzar is killed and Darius the Mede takes over the kingdom.
Wow, just like that. Prophecy fulfilled. It makes you wonder, in those final moments, did Belshazzar have any regrets?
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the nature of power, how fleeting it can be, and the weight of our choices. It really highlights the contrast between Belshazzar and Daniel. Belshazzar consumed by his pride and arrogance, kind of representing, the pitfalls of worldly power, right? And then you have Daniel, who embodies humility and faith, and he's rewarded not with material wealth, but with the chance to serve something bigger than himself. It's Daniel who actually survives the fall of Babylon.
That's a great point. It makes you think about what's really important.
Yeah.
But, this story isn't just about one man's downfall. It's about the collapse of an entire empire. Can you tell us a little bit about the historical context of Babylon falling to the Medes and Persians?
Well, the Babylonian Empire, as mighty as it was, eventually was weakened, by internal conflicts, outside pressures. The Medes and Persians, led by Cyrus the Great, they were a rising force. The story of Belshazzar's feast, whether it's, literally true or symbolic, it captures this reality. It depicts a kingdom, ready to crumble, ripe for the taking by a stronger power.
So the handwriting on the wall, it wasn't just a message for Belshazzar. It was a reflection of what was happening, a sign that Babylon's time was up.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that in many ancient cultures, kings weren't just political leaders. They were seen as this link between the gods and the people. So the fall of a king, it could also be seen as a sign of, divine judgment against an entire nation.
It makes it more than just a historical event then. A cautionary tale about pride, about the consequences of arrogance, not just for individuals, but for societies.
Definitely. It's a reminder that, this story, it's not just ancient history, it's a parable. It speaks to something true about humans, about the dangers of pride, the importance of humility and the power of faith. Themes that are just as important today as they were back then.
What really sticks with me is that image of the handwriting on the wall. Those warnings, the ones that we often miss in our own lives. Are we missing the message like Belshazzar did?
It's a good question. It's easy to get so caught up in our own lives, our own goals, that we don't see the bigger picture sometimes. We focus on success, money, power, and we miss those little signs, the little hints that something needs to change.
It's like we're at our own metaphorical feast, surrounded by distractions. We don't notice the handwriting on the wall until it's too late. How can we be more aware of these moments so we don't, end up like Belshazzar?
Well, I think one of the most important things is humility. Remember Belshazzar's downfall. It was rooted in arrogance. He thought he was above it all, above the rules. When we approach life with humility, I think we're more open to learning from our mistakes, recognizing our limits, seeing things from different perspectives. It helps us stay grounded, connected to what really matters.
Humility keeps us open. What else can we do?
Having a strong moral compass, that's essential too. Daniel was able to stand up to Belshazzar because he had his faith, his belief in something greater than himself. When we have a sense of right and wrong, it's easier to make good decisions, decisions that match our values, even when things get tough.
So humility keeps us grounded. A strong moral compass guides our actions. Anything else that can help us, navigate those handwriting on the wall situations?
Surround yourself with good people. Belshazzar was surrounded by yes men afraid to challenge him. But Daniel was sought out for his wisdom, for his willingness to speak truth to power. It's so important to have people around you who will be honest with you, even when it's hard to hear, people who can offer a different perspective, who challenge you to think critically.
That's good advice. So many lessons to learn from this ancient story. Timeless wisdom for navigating life.
It encourages us to look inside ourselves, examine our own lives, find those areas where we might be missing the signs, those little messages that are trying to guide us towards a better path.
As we go deeper into this story, I keep thinking about how this idea of the handwriting on the wall plays out in different parts of our lives. How do we see those signs in our relationships, in our careers, or even in how we affect the world around us? We're going to explore these questions further when we come back for the final part of our deep dive. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the story of Belshazzar's feast. We've really gotten into the historical context, the drama of that mysterious writing on the wall, and of course the downfall of both Belshazzar and his whole kingdom. And like we've been talking about, this isn't just some ancient history lesson, it's a parable, right? Yeah. It's got a message for us, even today.
Yeah. It really does speak to some things that are just part of being human. Pride, humility, faith. It makes us think about how those themes show up in our own lives.
Absolutely. For me, it's the idea of the handwriting on the wall, those warning signs we miss in our own lives. Right?
Yeah.
We talked about recognizing them in general, but what about some specific examples? Like, how might we see this in our relationships?
That's a great point. Think about it. In relationships, we get those gut feelings, right? Those little nudges that something's not right. Maybe it's the way you're communicating or a growing distance. Or maybe you just feel like your needs aren't being met. Those are like little hints, Handwriting on the wall, telling you something needs to change.
So we got to pay attention to those feelings, even the subtle ones. What about our careers? How does the handwriting on the wall show up there?
It could be lots of things. Maybe you keep getting passed over for promotions, or you're not getting recognized for your work, or you just feel stuck, unhappy. It could even be things changing at your company, like new leadership or technology making your skills outdated. All those signs might mean it's time for a change, a new job, new skills, new opportunities.
So it's not just about how we feel, but also about paying attention to the world around us, right?
Yeah.
Adapting. What about how we affect the world? Are there handwriting on the wall moments when we talk about our impact on the environment, for example?
Totally. Think about the crazy weather we've been seeing, or how so many species are disappearing. The science is clear, Climate change is real, and it's urgent. That's the handwriting on the wall. It's telling us how we're living isn't sustainable. We need to make changes. Big changes.
It's like these moments, they can be personal and global, right? They affect us and the whole world. But seeing those signs, that's just the first step, right? What do we do once we see the writing?
That's where Belshazzar's story really comes in. Remember, he saw the writing, but he didn't do anything about it. He didn't change. We have to be different.
So recognizing the signs isn't enough. We have to act.
Mm-hmm.
But taking action, that can be tough, It can mean leaving our comfort zone, facing some hard truths, maybe making some big changes in our lives.
Yeah, for sure. It takes courage and humility to admit we're wrong, to confront our weaknesses, and to really make those changes. But the Daniel story, it reminds us that there's strength in being humble, in seeking wisdom, and in standing up for what's right no matter how hard it is.
He was willing to speak truth to power, even though it was risky. That's a powerful example. Real leadership isn't about being in charge or controlling things. It's about serving a bigger purpose, making choices that help everyone, not just ourselves.
Exactly. At its core, the story of Belshazzar's feast is a call to action, It challenges us to look at ourselves, to find those handwriting on the wall moments in our lives, and to do something about them before it's too late.
It reminds us that we have a choice,
Yeah.
We can shape our own destinies. We can make choices that lead to a better future, a future that's meaningful and fulfilling and sustainable for us and for everyone who comes after us.
I think that's a great place to end it.
Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive into the story of Belshazzar's feast. We hope it's given you some new things to think about. Until next time, keep your eyes open for the handwriting on the wall. And remember, true strength is found in humility, wisdom, and the courage to do what's right.